But I saw a thing announced today that I thought was weird and potentially very disturbing. Uh, the three major credit card companies are going to start flagging any purchases of arms or ammunition. They're going to put a special category on sporting goods stores and places that sell that sort of thing. So if a purchase is made, it will be flagged for later investigation. That's a weird term. Who is going to review these purchases? Why? Again, it sounds like, trying to make a database, but that's a weird step. I have never bought a gun with a credit card. I always pay cash for everything, really. I don't, it freaks people out sometimes in the stores where you come in, buy $1,000 gun and put down $1,000 bills. That alarms them, I guess, or makes them uneasy. But they can't turn you down. But this flag and credit card purchases, years ago, well, maybe a couple of years ago, I was in a store and I was buying a 12 pack of Miller, and they scanned my driver's license. Now I can see where they always want to check ID because they get set up a lot of times, for selling for minors, so they just get a policy of checking everybody's ID just to be on the safe side. But when they start scanning, I didn't like that, because then they have a record of it. And this idea of flagging gun purchases, for later review, that's just a weird thing. And then where does that stop? If somebody buys like alcohol or tobacco, or is all this stuff going to start being flagged for later review? I like to deal with cash, but it's just the credit card companies were under a lot of pressure from the anti-gun people. Although, like they say, these guns don't get used in these mass shootings. This is a very, very rare thing. So there's no real justification for it, but it's a foot in the door to have this database they could build up. But I think, like I say, where will that end? Like say if somebody is using a credit card to buy, well, God, almost anything, like even gas, or like say when they were doing, people were making bombs out of fertilizer and diesel fuel. Then they started keeping a record of who was buying fertilizer. Which made it troublesome for people who needed to buy fertilizer. But now they want to do that sort of thing for, the only thing that comes in for, handy for them, is later, after an incident happens, they can look back and say, oh, yeah, this is where the purchase was made. But the problem is that that's always way too late. They always go back, and say, oh, yeah, we were watching that guy. You were watching the guy after the incident happened. Then you find the evidence of the incident that led up to it. But I think that's an infringement on your privacy there. I don't like that. Like I say, that where they were scanning my ID in order to buy beer, I never bought beer there again. I'm not gonna, like say, when I bought ammunition the other day, like a week back, those 22 Magnums, there I was required to show an ID, but it was just show. I didn't even have to take it out of the billfold. You just had to see date of birth, that I was old enough to buy it. But when they get to that point where they're scanning it, that's too far. Because for a while there, I mean, that same store was scanning, or you were forced to show ID, even if you bought a book on reloading or a tool for reloading. Anything out of that firearm section had to be an ID for it, which was weird. But now that's how it's going to be in all these stores. In order for them to be able to sell sporting goods, they're going to have to red flag every purchase for later review. That's weird. That's a bad thing with technology. Like I say, for years, it wasn't bad because you could, they weren't linked together. They were, there's no way they could track one from the other, so you were in the clear. But now they have enough computer power to put everything together. Like I say, usually it's after the fact, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm not comfortable with that. But like I say, I don't use credit card for any of that stuff, so no, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I buy guns at auctions and rummage sales and flea markets. I have bought guns at flea markets. There's never any record of them. It's just a clean cash purchase, and that's the way it should be. It's just another tool you should be able to buy. I always fill out them. If I buy one from a commercial place, I always have to fill out that background check nonsense. It worries me. But it's a step these anti-gun people pushed for. They wanna know who's buying what. But like I say, where will that stop? I mean, it's like an endless thing. Yeah, well,